This intensive chess course will immerse you in the exciting world of tactical combinations, allowing you to identify and execute winning tactics with precision. In this first class, which will consist of 3 parts, we will teach the basic tactical topics that every player should know. It will be a first approximation, since in this course, for each tactical topic we will go into more detail in a particular class. In this first part we will talk about the following tactical topics: double attack, pin, skewer.
Double attack.
This tactic involves attacking 2 of your opponent's undefended pieces simultaneously, forcing him to defend only one and lose the other. It is a fundamental tactical topic that you must master from the beginning, since it is very common at levels between 1000 and 2000 ELO points. It is a move that creates 2 threats at the same time with the same piece. Attacks can directly threaten opposing pieces, threaten checkmate or threaten captures of other pieces. Let's look at 2 examples. How can white make a double attack on black's pieces? What black pieces are undefended? Effectively, the queen returns to square c2 from where she attacks the rook on a4 and the bishop on c7, making it impossible to defend both attacks and one of the 2 is lost. And in this example, a little more complicated, how can white make a double attack? Remember that mate threats are also attacks. Exactly, rook to e6. The rook attacks the black queen and at the same time reveals the threat of checkmate with the queen on c7. Black cannot defend himself against the 2 threats, and if he wants to extend the game, he will have to sacrifice his queen. If you have had a hard time finding this move, don't worry, this is just an introduction to the tactical reasons. Remember that in the second class we will see how to scan the board in search of these tactical reasons.
The pin.
Pinning restricts the movement of an enemy piece by pinning its movement with another of your pieces. A pin makes it impossible to move a defending piece, because doing so would expose a more valuable piece behind it, usually the king or a piece of greater value than the piece that acts as a shield. Only queens, rooks and bishops, long-distance pieces, can pin, neither knights nor pawns can perform this type of action. Pins are useful to eliminate defenders or open lines for attack and to keep opposing pieces without mobility, limiting their offensive and defensive capacity. Let's look at 2 examples. Do you identify the pin in this position? How can we win a pawn easily? In this case it is the pawn on c5 that is pinned, and if it moves, it would leave the bishop on b6 undefended. Therefore, we can capture the b4 pawn with the knight. If black captures the knight, we can easily capture the bishop on b6. If they don't capture it, we will simply have won that pawn with a better position. How can we take advantage of the pin on the knight on e6? That's right. The rook captures the f8 knight. This rook sacrifice on f8 leaves the black queen defenseless, as the knight on e6 is pinned and unable to move. After the obligatory capture of the rook, we simply capture the queen on d7 and win the game.
The skewer.
The skewer are closely related to the pin. In fact, they look very similar, but in reverse. It is based on attacking 2 of the opponent's pieces in the same row, column or diagonal, so that by attacking one of them, the other is also threatened. In a skewer, the most valuable piece is attacked and forced to move to avoid capture, leaving a less valuable piece behind it unprotected. As with pins, the skewer can only be created by the long-range pieces, the queen, rook and bishop. Let's look at two examples. How can we force the alignment of the black king and queen to take advantage of the situation? You see that the black king is very limited in his movements. Exactly, knight on d6, check. The king's only escape is to place himself on the d5 square, aligned diagonally with his queen. The rest is simple, the queen checks on f3 to later capture the black queen and win the game. Let's move on to the second example. Again, how can we force the alignment of the black king and bishop? The bishop seems quite limited in its movements. Rook to h8. The bishop that does not have a good escape square is threatened. It doesn't matter if it goes to a7 or c7, the rook from h7 provokes a skewer that will capture the bishop.
In the next session of the Day-to-Day Chess Training Tactics course, we will introduce the tactical reasons for deflection, the discovered attack and the intermediate play. Remember, this is just a first approximation. Later in the course we will go into more detail on each of these tactics. Keep playing chess, give us a like, enjoy, and thanks for watching.